So when you're taking the golden lasso and saying, yes, I am ready to become unstuck. I'm ready to be moving forward in the flow of money. So you take that and your golden lasso and you cast it out as it winds up around you, all the way around you, and as you're pulling it in towards you, towards your heart, as you're pulling it in, literally, I want you to feel like the money's coming. But if you feel doubt, stop and heal it out. Use meridian tapping. If you feel like this is, you don't have the courage or the strength to be able to do all the hard work, most people tell you that you have to know about your finances, where every penny is going, and how to work with it all the time. If you don't have the strength for that, then it's okay. But heal that out. There's nothing wrong with having emotions, but it is very much when it becomes burdensome. And they're saying that again, that they're looking at something that's suppressed in her specifically. And so why don't we draw a card about that?
What's interesting is I'm
She's
sitting
about
here
being directed.
feeling disengaged. And what I got was the idea of inserting myself into the reality. There's something in the environment that makes me not want to put myself, from her perspective, into her reality because of whatever happened when she was a little kid.
I pulled the clairvoyance card. Do you know that you are intuitive and clairvoyant? Trust what you see in your mind's eye as well as with the physical sight. For your spiritual vision helps you along with healing, teaching, and guidance. That's the same as dreaming, imagining, and pretending. Because you have to get into that state and allow yourself to see that it's already done. Now you have to remember, before it even hits this plane of existence, it's already done in another plane. We're just bringing it through. And so it's, but for you to actively be a human and participate is knowing is to lining up that it's already done. And lining up to it, you can even grow for the golden lasso for that as well. But bringing it to you and bringing it through. If you understand the direction of energy, in this case, they're saying that the energy is stuck inside of her and it is squelched because the energy can't dream. The energy can't fulfill a dream. The energy is not there because, let's see, is there just overcomes of excuses, burdens. Other people's truths seem to be affecting who she is. Now here's an profound thing about truth. Ready? So we're left off when someone says knowing is the key, right, of using your intuition. Yes, I'm actually doing my dissertation paper on knowing. Here's the thing. We start off knowing that we are in this illusion as a kid, as a baby, and we start knowing with our sensory system. It's through the perceptions from the sensory system. So we're born with perceptions, our sensory system, which causes us to engage in this illusion. So then when we experience life, and let's say everything's going great and my mommy yells at me, I don't react very well. I actually react in a scared, shocked way. I go into fight, flight, freeze.
It's a literal meltdown.
And a checkout, meltdown. Yeah, just like as if you're touching the fire. What happens is that now you know mommy a new way, but you also know that there's this that you can't process, and that knowing stays inside our physical body and our subconscious mind and then affects how we're going to then approach the next person or the next situation, or and it could be the person could have been wearing black, and so we don't know why we have a reaction to black. There could have been a smell of perfume. We may not like the smell of perfume. So there's all of these things that occur. Again, keeping it very simple, how do we know what we know? There are actually stages of the knowing. When we're very young, it's a baby stage, and we already know everything. There's nothing else to know. Then when you start to have comparisons, like being thrown off center, you can get that in various degrees, from a let's say a whispering opportunity, which is nothing big. You can even do it with a funny, to a bitch slap where it's really extreme and hit rock bottom and you try to figure out how to recover.
Everything feels like it's falling apart.
Yes. So, but once you start acknowledging it and noticing there's a difference, then it starts to wake you up so you can start dreaming again And then there's stuff you're starting to know, oh, there's things I didn't know I knew, but needed to know I have to know. I said it wrong, but you then start to engage to seek for it. Then you become the teacher where all of a sudden there are a lot of things you know, but now you want to talk about it, so now you need to talk about it. There's a stage of knowing that you're already good at it, but you don't know how to do it, but you just know how to do it. Then, moving aside, there's the behaviors of knowing. When you don't want to be yelled or screamed at, when somebody tells you something and they have this power over you, oh yeah, I already knew that. I know that. Meaning, shut up, I don't want to talk anymore, I don't want to engage.
Your ideas are stupid.
You know, you're pushing away. I know that. You know, you can hear it in the certain tones. But what happens when you say, I know that? It takes, and the brain hears, oh, I'm full, so it stops receiving input and literally just keeps pushing output of how you know, and so it repeats this loop. Okay? When your issues of life shows up, then how you know it will keep bringing it up so you can know it and show how you know it, and you're losing power to how you know it, and that's where the healing comes in. Using knowing of an intuition, there's inner, outer, and or higher, lower, and superior. Okay, so you got your higher self, the knowing. Here's the big difference between soul talk versus human talk. On the conscious level, Jen was talking about something. She goes, well, I really don't want to do that, blah, 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 blah. I says, give me your arm. I says, now, say I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And her soul goes, yes, I do. Her soul doesn't understand why this body, this person, is saying no to it when really her heart's desire is to do it. It doesn't see some of these programs. I mean, it does, but it's trying to get you to hear.
Right, and I've been conditioned to complain.
That's it, conditioned.
Conditioned to complain about doing something, even though there's something I'm really jazzed, I really want to do. Oh yeah, this is such a bitchy problem. I don't want to do it.
But see, the reason she does that is because she knows in her strategy that before she can have the good stuff, she has to be presented with it. Then she's supposed to react in negative, and then she's supposed to denigrate about it. And then, but if it hasn't disappeared, then and if it stayed, then okay, I'll do it.
Right, because if I'm really excited and I show that I like something, the program has been in the past, somebody's going to come along and whoop, there it goes. Oh crap, I put my attention on it and there it went. It's like somebody heard me say, I like that, so now I've got to take it and go ha 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 ha.
Now,
that's been the old program.
If you listen to her intention of how she's talking, her notes are not anything like it was before. And maybe Karen might even pick that up. We have heard you in the past use more intensity, with an emotional intensity when you speak, which means that there was a level of a 1, 2, or 5 somewhere in there with the intensity. And now you're recalling it out of your file system and you're recreating the moment.
Right, and I'm supposed to do it, and I'm like, that just doesn't feel like I know it anymore.
Correct. So it's changing. Yeah, it's changing how you need to over-identify with the knowing.
I can play with it now, where before it was like, oh crap, that's really real.
Now, we were told to shut down our intuition because that's not right. It could be a devil in disguise. But again, if you're not, how do you control the masses? If you don't understand it, then you're supposed to see it as the enemy. Shoot it and then apologize later. And you have a modern day pitchfork people. And what do I mean by that, Jen? What do I mean by pitchfork people?
Okay, in the past, let's say at some point, you know, we'll say there's past lives. In one of my past lives, I was a witch, and people knew about it and wanted to run me out of town. They would use their it's like in
Shrek.
Shrek, that's what I was. They have their pitchforks and they've got their torches. They're saying, "You better leave, and we're getting you out of it. And if you don't, you're done." Exactly.
They had enough of you. And what's interesting is that the modern day pitchforker, I was listening to. Again, I'm new to that sepia and C, and so there's this woman, she goes by the name of Sid. Well, she embraces the fact that she's does not going to follow the modern day church people in any of this. So she watches, and this guy, he gets paid for doing what he's doing, and he's a big time skeptic. He deliberately goes in and finds people like us or other people that are...
Is he the guy that runs like Skeptic Magazine or whatever?
I don't know if it's him. Okay. But there's another guy. But people he's gotta find his next victim so that he can exploit them, and then he can have his followers. Right, well, then she turns around, and since she knows that some of the people he attacks, and that's not true, she'll go around and start attacking him. And so there's just all of this war going on. But she's standing up for the other person's right, as well as it's the right for us to have a voice. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, this guy's a modern-day pitchforker. Because in my mind, he's now got away with doing whatever he wants, and he can exploit it the way he wants, and apparently he has enough persona that whatever he says, he can create a mob mentality, because he has followers. How does that get back to knowing? There's a lot of different ways of how you know. When I'm helping you heal, I already know you know the answer. I have to get you to pay attention to how you know it. Once you make conscious contact about how you know it, then all of a sudden, you're like, oh, it was an epiphany. You're like, really? You're just blown away by the whole deal. What happens next is then I can give you healing tools so you can take the intensity of how you know it and you're creating closure. You don't need to over-identify with it. Your sensory system does not need to engage in it so much. So this knowing process, it's a very complicated word, but it's completely true. Now, once you practice and fine-tune with the realm of energy that you want. Now, let me explain. Why do we have people that are doing paranormal hunting and hunting for ghosts? Okay, Brenda, do you believe in ghosts? Yes and no. The frequency is there, but at the same time, what dimension are you going to line up with? And I'll tell you just real quick, my husband says, go get the drill. I go to get the drill, I looked in that cupboard and I knew I could feel it there. Knowing. Open it up, knowing, I know it's here. I opened up twice. Fine, shut it, come back. I can't find it. He goes, what? It's right there. He goes in there, opens the cupboard, and there it is. I couldn't get in alignment with him, be in sync with him to get in that darn drill. And I knew it.
And the funny thing is, your case of drill bits you brought me is right next to it.
It was right next to it. See, it's
That's
all
hilarious.
But it's all about what it is you want to know and what do you need to focus on. And so these people have that your part of your passion is that you got to pay attention to. You have passion and conviction, and if you start paying attention to those two things, then you'll end up understanding your purpose and the direction and what you want to go in. So these people, they thrive and have passion and conviction, and so then the universe is just going to hand them more of where to find it and where to go. Now, I was with somebody that had been doing paranormal activities, but I picked it up on a whole other level. And she wanted me to say that she was right. Well, I did. But I also then said, da-da-da-da-da. I says, we're both right. Well, you can't be. Yes, you can, because there's variations of frequencies. My job isn't to look at it what you looked at it at. You chose to look at it this way. I chose to look at it this way.
I had a friend text me and say, hey, we're going to be going to this place and staying at this hotel, and it's famous for being haunted. Can you give me any advice? Can you tell me, do you have any insights? So I said, okay, well, I said, you know, the first thing is always do no harm. Mm-hmm. The next is Archangel Michael is with you for protection. And we call it the intergalactic police that go with Archangel Michael, but yeah. I don't know what it's called. But you always have the voice to say, no, you're not allowed in my reality. We forget that we have that power, but we do. So that was part of it. And then she was like, okay, well, do you see anything? So then I'm sitting there and I kind of like, and I didn't read, she didn't tell me the name of the hotel. She just said, we're going to this place, and we're gonna be at this hotel. So
intuitively she sat there and trusted, knowing how to put her thinking cap on of intuition, which means connecting to the source that's got the answer that she needs for what her friend wants to do.
Right, so then I tune in, and I see this situation, and it felt like, kind of like a repetitive loop. There was a family involved, and there was just like, it was like ships passing in the night that just were missing each other.